Most men today have one thing in common. They can't control themselves. They scroll, they stare, they chase digital illusions that drain their strength. They think they're choosing pleasure. They're not. They're being trained. If you can't control your eyes, you can't control your mind. And if you can't control your mind, someone else will. Modern men are not weak because life is hard. They're weak because pleasure is easy. Every tap, every notification, every image designed to hijack your biology. That's the real prison, not bars, not chains. Impulse. Today, we're going to break that, because if you don't conquer your impulses, you will spend your entire life serving them. And a man who can't control his desire cannot build anything that lasts. You're not lazy, you're overstimulated. The apps know it, the companies know it, and the people who profit from your attention know it. You weren't supposed to wake up and immediately crave stimulation. You weren't supposed to feel exhausted before doing anything meaningful. You weren't supposed to need a hit of instant pleasure to function. That's not normal. That's conditioning. Your mind is being trained to prefer the shortcut, to avoid effort, to avoid discomfort, to avoid life. That's why motivation dies so fast. Your brain is drowning in cheap rewards. This kills discipline, kills ambition, kills that fire inside men. Because when a man gets pleasure without effort, he stops respecting himself. The Stoics weren't afraid of pleasure. They were afraid of depending on pleasure. They saw indulgence as a vulnerability, a crack in the armor. To them, the strongest man wasn't the one who had the most pleasure, but the one who could walk away from it without shaking. Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's about being in control. To break this trap, you must do something most men will never do. Train your brain to stop expecting dopamine at every moment. You don't quit stimulation. You starve it. Short fasts, cold mornings, no phone until your work is done, zero passive scrolling, zero digital daydreaming. You give your brain boredom, so it stops demanding chaos. Most men avoid boredom. You're going to weaponize it. You're going to reclaim your drive by reclaiming the silence inside your own mind. Long ago, a young warrior stood at a crossroads. He didn't know which path would define his future. He didn't know which voice to trust. Two figures approached him. The first was ease, comfort, indulgence. She promised him everything without effort: riches, relaxation, pleasure on demand, the good life without struggle. She told him, "Why work? Why fight? Why suffer? I will give you everything quickly." The second figure was different, hard, quiet, uncompromising. She didn't offer comfort. She offered greatness. She said, "If you follow me, you will suffer, but your suffering will carve strength. Your strength will carve purpose, and your purpose will carve your name into history." That warrior was Hercules, and in that moment, he realized something most men today never learn. Pleasure is always the first trap. Discipline is always the first door. One path seduces, the other transforms. He chose the path of struggle, and through that struggle, he became legend. But here's the truth. You face the same choice every day. Every time you reach for instant pleasure, you choose the first path. And every time you resist, you step onto the second. Heroes aren't born. They're carved from the things they refuse to indulge in. This is the law almost no man understands. Every urge you feel, every impulse, every spark of desire is energy. Raw energy, violent energy, creative energy. Most men waste it. They burn it on screens. They drain it through impulse. They spend it in moments of weakness. But warriors learn to redirect it. This is not moralism. This is mechanics. The same energy that ruins weak men can build empires inside strong ones. When you give in to every temptation, your mind learns one thing: I do not control myself. And once you accept that, you lose the ability to push through hard work. You lose respect for your own effort. You lose the momentum to build something bigger than your impulses. Ancient warriors didn't suppress desire. They redirected it into training, into war, into discipline, into creation. They used desire as fuel, not as escape. This is transmutation, taking what can destroy you and bending it into strength. Here's how you do it. Number 1, delay, don't indulge. Even a few minutes of resisting impulse rewires your brain. Number 2, convert the urge into action. Meditate, lift, work, write, move. Reward yourself with progress, not pleasure. Your brain starts to associate discipline with satisfaction. Number 3, build a streak, not for pride, for identity. The longer you resist, the more you become the man who can resist. This is how you weaponize your nature. This is how you turn a weakness into a blade. Temperance is not about deprivation. It's about domination. It's the ability to look at temptation and say, "You don't control me." Most men crumble. They fold. They obey their impulses like slaves obey masters, not you. Distraction is the enemy of strength. Instant pleasure is the enemy of ambition. A mind that cannot say no cannot survive the modern world. The Stoics used temperance as armor. They trained their desires like soldiers train muscles. They didn't wait to feel strong. They built strength through refusal. Here's how you build it. Remove triggers. Your environment shapes your willpower. Practice micro-resistance. Start with small refusals. Let them stack. Never negotiate with impulses. The moment you argue with temptation, you've already lost. Create a personal code. A rule that says, if it weakens me, I reject it. Temperance isn't passive, it's war. And every time you refuse temptation, you sharpen the blade inside your mind. The world wants you overstimulated, exhausted, and obedient. A man controlled by impulse is predictable, and a predictable man is easy to break. But a man who controls his desire, a man who can starve his impulses, a man who cannot be seduced, that man is dangerous. Because he operates on mission, not weakness. He moves with intention, not craving. He chooses discipline over instant pleasure. He chooses legacy over escape. And he becomes someone very few men ever become, a man who owns himself. This is the armored mind. Build discipline, sharpen your will, and take back the power that modern life steals from every man who isn't paying attention.